All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Fact Flashes Talk of the Town. Well, the world is almost in the situation of World War III. The entire world, or say international politics, is being affected because of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine in the past few weeks. Ukraine is helpless, as they're claiming it, and Russia, on the other hand, is hard-headed. Well, by hard-headed, when we say there have been several videos that have been coming in or that have been getting viral over the internet since last night about how people in the Ukraine have been suffering, post which the president of Ukraine has also given a video message saying that they are helpless and nobody is coming up for the help. I have been joined by the assistant professor from the Maharaja Sayajirao University of Vadodara, Mr. Pradeep. Thank you so much for being here with us. I've also been joined by a political science student from, again, MS University Vadodara, Ashish. Thank you so much. So over the next few minutes, we'll be talking to them, and as they say that it is very important for any country to know what its youngsters think. So India is having a role to play in this entire situation. Ukraine every now and then has been asking for India's help, in a way, not exactly, but India has been being diplomatic. That is what the Twitter has been saying. Let's move on to the main part. Sir, can you just put it into the proper words and frame it into the exact sentences, politically right, on what this entire situation is?
Well, on 24th of February, the Russian Premier Vladimir Putin announced military offensive or military invasion on Ukraine following a legal clarification that Russia received from the upper house of the Russian parliament. Uh, the reason of this invasion, there are multiple reasons that are responsible for this invasion. Actually, if we see the history, or somewhere the reasons are rooted in the history as well, specifically of 20th century and 21st century. But one of the main reasons that at the moment cited, some of the reasons which are at the moment cited and we came across the media as well, that there's an economic reason, but most importantly, geopolitical and security related reason, and that is the expansion of a NATO, which happened to be as perceived by Russia as one of the security concern and associated with the territorial integrity and sovereignty of Russia, specifically expansion of a NATO in case of Ukraine. Ukraine is now all set, or was all set, to become the member of the NATO. NATO is basically a security alliance which was formed after the end of the Second World War, which stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, which was actually one of the military alliance of the United States of America during the Cold War era. And Cold War, as we all know, is a non-military hostility between the United States of America and the former Soviet Union, which is characterized by ideological differences, psychological warfare, arms race, and so on. So what happened when NATO was formed? Most of the Western European countries those days, they joined the bloc of the United States of America by actually becoming the member of the NATO. And most of the Eastern European countries, they preferred to join the bloc of Soviet Union in the form of Warsaw Pact. But what happened after the end of the Cold War, and when Cold War got over, there was a possibility that these military alliances might lose, or specifically the Eastern European countries, because when Soviet Union got disintegrated, it got disintegrated into 15 different republics. So Russia was one of the major republics. In fact, Ukraine, probably, if we go with, there is a broader degree of consensus among the scholars in international relations that Ukraine was probably the second most powerful republic within the former Soviet Union. So after the disintegration, it got divided into 15 independent states, and most of the Eastern European countries also preferred to, there was a sort of a de-idealization took place. So now NATO is expanding in Eastern European countries. Some of the countries like Poland, they already became member, who happened to be the member of the Warsaw Pact during the Cold War era. And now Ukraine is also approaching NATO or becoming member of this security organization. Now, Russia's major concern is that expansion of a NATO poses grave concerns about Russia's territorial integrity and sovereignty, because it is, if you see the border of Ukraine today, Ukraine sharing border with Russia, also sharing a border with Poland, Sea of Azov, etc. So, if Ukraine becomes member of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, there can be possible security threat to Russia as well. Secondly, after the disintegration Ukrainian, because if you look at the issue at the moment, the way it has been interpreted, it is not merely an invasion based on security concern, because the people of Ukraine or people of Russia, they also share some degree of, politically or linguistic similarities. For instance, today in Ukraine around 70% people are speaking Russian, or somewhere in the 20th century, because when Russian Empire annexed, let's say, Ukraine, or specifically the Red Army after the Russian Revolution made Ukraine part of the, the former Soviet Union, there were constant experiences of a clash, specifically at the time of a Stalin, and after the disintegration, new independent state of Ukraine was created. So, keeping in mind certain economic reasons, keeping it, because Russia's population is shrinking, Russia is also looking for a possible option where, you know, there's an Eurasian Economic Forum that, they previously wanted Ukraine to, become full-fledged member of it, while Ukraine was approaching European Union. So, keeping in mind the different leadership in Ukraine, which determine different stands, somewhere with Russia, pro-Russia, or sometimes pro-European Union. So, keeping in mind all those developments over the last century and the beginning of this century, there were constant experiences of conflicts. In fact, economically speaking, there were many of the Ukrainians are actually migrated to Russia. They're also doing jobs and working there. And as I said, there is a political and, let's say, linguistic similarities between the people. So, keeping in mind previous experiences of Ukraine, and because in 2014, Russia annexed Crimea, which happened to be a portion of a Ukraine state. Now, this action was condemned by the international community. Of course, United States of America imposed comprehensive sanctions on Russia at that time as well. But recently, the kind of developments that are taking place, two of the important regions of Ukraine, uh, denotes People's Republic. They declared independence, as well as Luhansk People's Republic, and Russia acknowledged this independence. These two are the separatist regions, and they declared themselves as an independent states out of the Ukraine. So, based on that, Russia sent forces over there, and on last evening, 24th of February, by 25th of February, Russia formally, after the approval of the parliament, attacked, let's say, Ukraine, and I'm expecting within 2 days, possibly, Ukraine might lose the territorial sovereignty as well. So that's a brief.
Wrong. And that's not what I meant. What I meant was that Indians flying to Ukraine or to any other part of the country is probably because there's something which is not here, which I'm not getting here, is the reason that's going to make me to migrate to some other country or to some other city or to some other state, right? So, do you think that now that we've got the lesson, as a student, how do you think? Because this is something that the entire generation is going to suffer.
Yeah, exactly. Government, this is the time that we have to, recognize our own blunder. And that's for, students migrating from different countries for pursuing the higher studies. But see, the education system is responsible. The educational structure is responsible, because we have this is not the United States of America. India is a union of states. So and education is a state concurrent list matter when it's come to Constitution of India. So it depends upon the several state governments. So I cannot blame alone the the Union of India or the Indian government. The states government played a very significant to determining this entire issue. So what is the need of the hour is to identify the error or the blunder and try to correct them. And this is the responsibility of the government to convincing the students that will provide adequate education infrastructure in our country. So this is the major problem. So what is required is the cooperative federalism, cooperation, cohesiveness, and also to winning the confidence of the students. Then this problem will resolve. But I cannot say completely that I'm convincing all the students community to prevent them to going to abroad. It is required certain extent, because we cannot provide this type of intelligentsia education. That's what they're providing in UK and Russia. If Anywhere.
Right. All right. Now, as a student or as a political science master's student, how are you seeing the entire situation that's going on?
See, the first I would like to tell, war does not determine who is right. It just determines who is left. So this entire conflict is from the perspective of Russia. Russia is seeing this entire conflict at their own state interest. Why Russia invaded in the Ukrainian? See, go back to the world history. In 1980, when the Russian Empire was fall, and instantaneously after that, the Ukrainian, the new republic created, titled the Ukrainian People's Republic. Then Bolsheviks came. Then again, it's become a part of the Ukrainian Soviet Socialist Republic under the leadership of Lenin. And that's what Vladimir Putin said in official statement, that we want back this region because Lenin liberated this entire eastern region titled the Donbass. Now, but why Russia wanted this region to, and try to, give official recognition to both this region? The reason is, in this entire territory called Donbass, majority population is the Russian minorities, Russian speaking people, and also the ethnic and linguistic Russian minorities. So therefore, Putin claiming this is the part of our own, territory. And it's, a several time relentlessly, saying that we want back this region, into Russia, and therefore he recognized. But what is the problem? The problem is that it is the violation of the international law. See the Charter of the United Nations. United Nations Charter clearly said that any nation state can use the force in only two conditions. First is self-defense, and second, with the authorization of the United Nations Security Council. But let me ask you that, did Russia consulted the United Nations Security Council? The meeting was going on, and suddenly Vladimir Putin came and said, we will give, we recognizing, give official recognition to these two separatist provinces. Number two, where does the role of India come? See, after the official declaration of the Vladimir Putin, the share market completely collapsed in India. The oil crude price went, beyond the $100 per barrel, and several economies started, projections that it might be, reach up to the $140 per barrel. And what will happen then? It will directly affect the lives of our citizens. It will compel the government to provide, subsidies on LPGs. Current account deficits will be higher. The inflation will be, go beyond the cap of 6%. So, looking this entire issue from the economic perspective. And lastly, why India, consistently silent. Many, people ask me. The reason is that, we generally, following the non-aligned movement policy, being a neutral, means friendship with all, and the enemy with none. But why in this matter India is silent? The thing is that we clearly said, our representative at the United Nations Security Council, he clearly said that India just wanted a peaceful resolution, a quiet and constructive diplomacy at the need of the hour. And lastly, we clearly said we want a de-escalation and the solution through diplomatic channel. So this is India's state in this, both matter.
Right. Now, as they say, that war is not a solution to any problem; it's a problem itself. So, what is the solution to this entire situation, according to you? What is something that can bring peace back?
Yeah, peace back, because when the question is very spectacular. When Vladimir Putin declared this official two separatist region and give recognition to them, it's clearly violate the Minsk Accord. Minsk Accord was signed in 2014 and 2015. What this accord says is clearly said that the separatists will bring down these armed and conflicts and violence, will initiate some constitutional reform in this region, make it possible and ensure the decentralization of power. But it hadn't happened since 2014. It compelled to Russia to declare, give official recognition to this state. Number two, why United States of America is much taking interest in this Ukraine? The thing is that Russia is fearing, because see, after the disintegration of USSR since 1991, the more than 13 Central Eastern European states joined the NATO, and now United States of America requesting Ukraine to join the NATO. then it will, directly reflected on the Russia's interest. So therefore, look at this issue. This, Russia's decision supported by China, North Korea, Serbia, Venezuela, and this who is supporting the, this Ukraine? United States of America, European Union, France, United Kingdom,
Japan.
all this country. And where is India? India is in the middle. So this is our, diplomatic channel, because Russia is also important for us as United States of America, because India is a part in the US lead, Indo-Pacific region called the, the Squad group, quadrilateral, group. So India is an aligned partner with the United States of America. But what is the role of US? Let me, say, when United States of America using very relentlessly the word invasion, that Russia is invading, or Russia's invasion into the Ukraine. But when it's come to the India-China conflict, United States of America, just before a couple of day, they officially issued a notification titled the Indo-Pacific Strategy of the United States of America, and they didn't mention the word invasion. They said conflict along the line of actual control with India and China. See the nature of United States of America. Therefore, in international community, US is always, termed a very famous term, unfriendly friend. So in this matter, I would like to say India have to decide its role very sharply, because as you know, this is a matter of the inviolability of the any sovereignty of the particular state. So I cannot, as a student of political science, I won't allow any nation to conduct the business of violence or persecution of minority, attacking, snatching away the rights of civilians into the another condition. Because the role of the multilateral organization, United Nations, is most imperative. But why UN is silence? It's like a United Nation, a speechless, silence, doesn't speak, doesn't sound. Why? What is the reason? Because all these multilateral institutions, United Nations, World Trade Organization, International Monetary Fund, World Bank, all is dominated by the United States of America. This is the reason of this, entire conflict.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Thank you so much, sir, for being here with us this evening. So, like Ashish said, I think that one tag that we would want to take out from this entire conversation we had was about the United States of America. United States of America is said to be a unfriendly friend. Right, unfriendly friend. I am putting a tag to this, unfriendly friend. And I think with this, we all need to learn so many things about how all of these countries, be it the United States of America, be it the United Kingdom, be it European countries, be it India, the kind of role that we have to play, and whether this war is going to last long or not. As of now, all we can pray is that this comes to an end very soon. But until then, for all the updates related to the war, make sure that you stay tuned to the Fact Flash. Thank you.